Grab a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal.
This is the Prosperity Lounge, where hope meets freedom and growth gets personal. I'm Joey Ruffalo of JR Financial Coaching, best-selling author, coach, and nationally recognized business growth strategist. I help people take back control of their finances and build lives of purpose. For business owners, I specialize in uncovering hidden revenue, often finding $100,000 or more through simple, no-cost strategies. And for everyday individuals and families, I help you rediscover your relationship with money, shifting from survival mode to a life of clarity, peace, and purpose. Each week, we explore practical strategies around money, mindset, business, and wellness. Because prosperity isn't just about your bank account. It's about freedom in every area of your life. If you're ready for real tools and real support, visit us at www.theprosperitylounge.com. You'll find contact information, our free 8-step guide on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck, our student loan survival guide, and our powerful budgeting tool, the Prosperity Planner, powered by ProsperBot. I'm in there answering questions all the time, having conversations. And speaking of questions, if you have any, please call us during the show at 865-577-4885, or you can text us at 865-236-1791. That's 865-236-1791. We'd love to hear your questions, your stories, and celebrate your wins. All right. So speaking of last week, let's recap last episode. We talked about why budgets fail, how to create a budget that reflects your values instead of feeling like punishment. We broke out of the cut the lattes mindset and leaned into something better. And that was freedom through direction. We talked about a budget isn't about restriction. It's about your permission slip to spend with intention. We also talked about side hustles. We talked about how to build aligned income using your gifts, your passions, and what people will pay you for. Side hustles aren't about burnout. They're about breathing room. And I shared how flipping items on eBay and online helped me and my family chip away at over $370,000 in debt. If you missed it, you can listen to the replays on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast, and on YouTube. And don't forget to grab your free trial of the Prosperity Planner and join our growing community at theprosperitylounge.com. Speaking of YouTube, you can actually join us on our live stream where you can check in and see what the studio looks like and have a conversation with others on our Prosperity Lounge YouTube channel. We live stream the show. We also check out on Instagram and tried a few other places today, so you can always catch us wherever you're at. Love to have you and love to talk to you. All right, let's jump into today's conversation. I'm trying to build on a theme here week to week as we go here, and I think this was an important one, and it's one that blends finances, mindset, and overall wellness. Okay, so whether you're feeling overwhelmed by bills, disconnected from your money, or simply ready to find some breathing room in your budget, this episode is for you. All right. So let's talk about the connection between your money habits and your mental health. A pretty heavy conversation, but it's an important one. Have you ever laid awake at night, staring at a ceiling, wondering, how are you going to pay that bill? That feeling, that pit in your stomach, the racing thoughts. It's not just numbers, it's stress. And over time, it wears you down. According to the American Psychological Association, the APA, over 70% of adults say money is the significant source of stress. There was a recent study by Dr. Brad Klontz, who's a financial psychologist, and it showed that financial struggles are often linked to subconscious money scripts formed in childhood. These beliefs like money's bad or I'll never have enough, man, they run your show until we challenge them. Dave Ramsey, who I've mentioned before, is a source of inspiration for our journey. But Dave Ramsey, it says quite often actually, that personal finance is only about 20% head knowledge. The other 80% is behavior. And it's our behaviors with money that can get us into the biggest trouble or lead us to the biggest successes. In other words, head trash. And it might be time to take out the trash. So let's figure out some ways to do that together. Okay. Financial stress is one of the top causes of anxiety, depression, and relationship issues. In fact, studies show that money fights and money problems are the second leading cause of divorce in North America. It's not just a math issue, it's a mental health and relationship issue. Now, I've shared before, you can go back and listen to it again in our premiere episode, a little bit about my story, about where we came from and how we got out of debt and what we were going through. And those sleepless nights that I had, wondering whether my car was going to get repossessed, probably was possessed at some point, but repossessed. Man, it was a toll on my health. My blood pressure was bad. My weight was bad. My heart was bad. All this stuff, and it was all stemmed from lack of sleep and stress. It was horrible. It was really bad. Wondering what's going to happen, whether I'm going to be able to pay that bill, how I'm going to face people in person, people I've let down, people who put their faith in me and trusted me, and I ruined that. Family relationship strain. I talked a little bit before about the relationship with my parents and especially my dad. My dad being like the rock in my relationship, somebody that we all have one person in our life that we can't wait to share our favorite moments with, or run something by, or get some advice from, or just want to share our successes with. Usually outside of us, I'm not going to lie, it's usually your spouse. And in my case it was, but also we would also together call my dad up and say, hey, check this out, or let's run this by you, or let me get your thoughts on this. And he would give us his answer. And during our struggles, there was some times where I took advantage of the financial situation to try to, I don't want to say take advantage, that's the wrong word, because I was in a place where I was trying to keep my head above water. So I was trying to do everything I could, trying to be as smart as I could, but acted really dumb. And in that regard, totally just ruined the relationship, at least in my eyes, I did. So calling him about certain successes or certain things that were going on in life, it became harder for me to make the phone call. And when the phone would ring on the other end and it was them calling me, it was always a sense of, what's going on now? Because when the creditors started calling me, they started calling them as well. And I didn't want them to deal with it, but they were. And in hindsight, it was not healthy. And I know more now about the situations than I did then, but it was very, I would almost put my head in the sand and not want to answer the phone and not have a conversation. And it was very tough. So that mental health, that emotional health, that tension, it does affect your health. It does affect your emotional state. But sometimes you hit bottom. And sometimes you don't recognize what the bottom is until you're on your way up. Because if you think you hit bottom, you probably aren't at bottom yet. And it probably can get worse. And that's what it was for us. And once we started clawing our way out, we could see what that bottom was. And that bottom was our lights were turned off, our water was turned off. We had a notice to get out of our apartment. Had to run a hose up a flight of stairs to shower with a community faucet. That is bottom. Okay. And on the way out, you can turn back and recognize that, and then you have to start mending those relationships with people and having those conversations. So we can easily get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, or the grass is always greener on the other side, or especially nowadays with social media, we look at people and our friends or people we enjoy whatever, and we just see a fraction of a day of their life. And we try to emulate that as best we can. And we don't see the 26 takes it took to take that photo of them smiling, right? We don't see that. We just see the smiling picture and go, I want that family, or I want those kids are well behaved, or that husband looks nice in that suit, or whatever. But one of my favorite sayings is, and I heard this for the first time a few years ago from someone, it was comparison is a thief of joy. And I think that's very important to take into this, is you can only compare yourself to yourself, not to others. And if you start comparing yourself to others, it's gonna eat away at you. It's gonna take away your joy. And that happens with our money situation. So money problems don't live in a spreadsheet. They live in our minds, our bodies, and our families. So let's walk through what I call the 3 zones of financial health. You can write this down if you want. So there's 3 zones. The first one is survival. Survival, you're all about putting out fires. You're juggling bills. You're constantly reacting. This is where most Americans live. Okay, this is the old expression of robbing Peter to pay Paul. I may be dating myself with that one, but that's something that I knew growing up there. Maybe you're playing the balance transfer game. 0% on this card is going to expire, so let's move it over here, and let's move it over there, and we're just going to try to keep one step ahead of everybody. And what you need is the one thing you ain't got in this situation, and that's money. Number 2 is stability. Stability is you're aware of your income and expenses. You're tracking them. You're intentional. You're starting to breathe a little bit. This is where budgeting is very important. Budgeting is the foundation upon which your financial house is built. You probably heard me say that a time or two. The third one is sustainability. You're planning ahead. You're building margin. You're living by values. You've created space for generosity, for joy, for peace. You're working the budget. You're plugging holes. You're cutting unnecessary waste. And now you're saving, spending, and more importantly, giving with purpose and intention. So, survival, stability, Sustainability. Here's the key. Peace comes from clarity and control. When your plan aligns with purpose, your mind gets a break. Your nervous system gets better, and it gets time to heal. If money issues are stressing you out, don't worry, you're not broken. But your system might be. So today we're going to talk about how to build habits and ease stress and restore peace. But before we jump into that, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I want to encourage you to download the 8-step guide to stop living paycheck to paycheck and try the Prosperity Planner. It's free for 30 days. It's designed to take the chaos out of your head and give it structure. So go to theprosperitylounge.com. You'll find all the links there. Join the free community. Click on the budget app. Listen to the old shows, whatever. Everything's there. Your next step is just waiting for you there, okay? I really want you to get in there and really take advantage of the resources and the free opportunities that are there for you. All right, let's move on to some tools and habits that can make peace practical. All right, so let's break down some money habits that actually lower stress, not raise it. First thing, weekly money check-ins. Just 5 minutes every week. Look at your accounts. Update your budget. And more importantly, breathe. This is your financial therapy session. It could be by yourself. That's fine. It could be with your spouse. It could be with a coach. It could be with somebody. But really, this is something you probably should do yourself. This has to build these habits, okay? Repetition, repetition, repetition. I want you to add a fun fund to your budget. Even just $10 a month for something you love. If it's in the plan, it's not a problem. And this reduces guilt and increases follow through. I use my fun line for baseball cards and sports cards and fun things like that. So if I save enough, I go out and I buy something for myself and I don't feel guilty about it. Automate what you can. Bills, savings, debt payments. Dave Ramsey again says pay yourself first, but that automation helps you stick to that. Now, when I say pay yourself first, let me be clear. What he's talking about and what I mentioned here is it's taking care of your bills and expenses that keep you safe and alive. So things like a roof over your head, food in your belly, keeping yourself warm or cool, and transportation. Those are things called the 4 walls. Anything inside your home that you need for survival. Those are the things you pay first. Then you worry about everyone and everything else. I mean, there are times I would pay a late credit card bill, but not my electric bill. And we all know how that turned out. They turned off our power. So next one is declutter your financial life. Dr. Klontz refers to financial clutter as a mirror of emotional clutter. So cancel unused subscriptions, maybe combine stray accounts. Simplicity brings peace. And most importantly, celebrate the small wins. Behavioral science shows that celebrating progress, even small wins, boosts your motivation and reduces stress. So you paid off a credit card, saved your first $500, celebrate it. This is why the debt snowball method of paying off debt is so powerful. You get quick wins to fuel your journey. Now that's something we're going to expand into our next episode here. So stay tuned next week when we talk about debt payments. But it's important to mention here, and I'll give it a quick synopsis. So debt snowball is you take your debt, smallest to largest, and you pay off the smallest one first, and then run that payment, combine it with the next one, and then roll it like the payments get bigger, like rolling a snowball down a hill. It's not always the best math method, but it is the best emotional and motivational method because you can hit those wins quick and you see progress right away. So we'll talk more about that next week. And here's something that helped me and many of my clients too, is make it a game. Turn budgeting into a challenge. Can you beat last month's savings goal? Can you find one thing to cut this week? Reward yourself when you hit that mark. Going back to side hustles from last week, my wife and I would set a goal for the day and make a game fit who would make more at the end of the day. One of the most often overlooked yet powerful ways to reduce financial stress is through open communication, especially with the people closest to us. Let's not forget about money conversations in relationships. If you're married or in a long-term relationship, financial peace must be a team effort. You both need to row in the same direction. So try a weekly money date. Bring snacks. Keep it short and stay curious. Don't be critical. Talk about what's working and where you need to adjust. Even 15 minutes can prevent 15 hours of stress. Because here's the truth. If one person's rowing left and the other's rowing right, you'll just spin in circles. But when you're aligned, you move forward faster and with a lot more joy. A recent study from Capital One found that 58% of Americans say finances control their life. But it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, these small habits create rhythm, and rhythm creates relief. Your financial plan should feel like support, not a source of shame. You can do this. You're not behind. You're just beginning. And when it comes to financial communication with your partner, here's something powerful from something that I put together called A Guide to Talking About Money as a Couple. Again, free resource in our community, so get in there and grab it. First thing you have to do is establish ground rules first. Things like no interrupting, assume good intent, take breaks when emotions run high. You set your ground rules. Then begin the conversation, not just about your current situation, but about your shared history and dreams. Ask questions like, what have been the highlights of our relationship? What's a favorite memory of us together? This helps bring connection to the money talk, and connection brings safety, and safety creates a space for change. Here are a few more helpful points for you as well. So you can write these down again. Start with safety and timing. Don't have tough money conversations when you're hungry, angry, or exhausted. It's like going shopping when you're hungry. You buy the whole store. Okay? Don't have the conversations in any of those situations. Emotions are already high and you need to be calm. Use open-ended questions. So ask, what does financial security mean to you? Or what are some of your earliest memories of money? Stick to I statements. I feel anxious when bills pile up, instead of you never budget. Okay, you don't want to start pointing blame. So stick with the I's. It helps deflect and it helps reduce stress and helps move the conversation forward. Take breaks if needed. If emotions rise, agree to pause and revisit the topic with fresh eyes. Revisit your why. Remind each other of your shared goals, values, and dreams. This keeps the conversation anchored in unity. If this segment sparked ideas or questions, head over to the community forum inside the Prosperity Lounge. Post your thoughts, share a win. Just ask for support. We're all in this together. And don't forget the Prosperity Planner is free for 30 days. It's one of the simplest ways to put these habits into action. Well, one of the best parts of the Prosperity Lounge is community, and the community we're building. People asking real questions, sharing their stories, and growing together. I pulled a couple of the best questions that came in this week, so let's jump into the Q&A and see how you can move forward. And hey, if you want to be part of the show, it's easy. Follow me on Instagram at JR Financial Coach. You can follow the show at the Prosperity Lounge. Subscribe to the Prosperity Lounge YouTube channel. And join the conversation at theprosperitylounge.com. And drop your questions inside the lounge or send them in directly. We might just feature you next. All right, so let's look at a couple questions here before we end our show today. These are real questions from people across the country, just like you, trying to make sense of things like money, stress, everyday life. So we got something from Samantha, who sent this in from Denver via YouTube. How do I stop feeling guilty every time I spend money on myself? Well, that is a fantastic question, Samantha. And yeah, I still feel guilty sometimes myself. I'll tell you that much. But I'll tell you, guilt comes from when you don't have a plan. You might even have some guilt when you do have a plan because you feel like you might be not putting the money towards a goal you wanted to do quicker, because if I spent on this, then I could have put it over here. But have a plan. But if your spending is in the plan, it's not indulgent, right? It's intentional. And include joy in your budget. We talked about this briefly just a few moments ago. That will help bring you wellness and help ease you in your stress. Well, thanks, Samantha. Eric from Charlotte contacted us via Instagram and said, I've been saving. I'm still anxious. Why? Well, Eric, anxiety isn't solved by saving alone. Build routines that reinforce peace. So like weekly check-ins, visible progress. Get a buddy or work with a coach. You don't have to do this alone. It's the most stressful thing you can probably do alone. And it's no shame in reaching out for help and someone to walk with you. That actually brings me to my next question from Marla from Austin, Texas, who emailed us and said, can financial coaching help with stress? Well, speaking to Eric's question and to yours as well, Marla, absolutely. Coaching isn't about being told what to do. It's about having a partner to sort through the mess, build a system, and shift your mindset. That kind of clarity is life-giving. Now, it only works if you work it. It's like paying for a trainer at the gym and not going to the gym and expecting to lose weight and get in shape. It doesn't work. So you have to follow the plan they give you, work it, be accountable, be vulnerable, and yeah, you should have some great success. See, I got time for one more here. Carlos from Miami writes, I've tried budgeting a dozen times and failed. What makes this any different? Well, most people don't fail at budgeting, Carlos. They fail at using the right system. Traditional budgets, like we've talked about before, are restrictive. So try a values-based budget instead. It's flexible, it's empowering, and it starts with what matters to you. And remember, budgeting, the budget itself, is the foundation upon which your financial house is built. So go for it. Keep at it. And if you need any help, we're here for you. And before I close today, I do want to say a profound and immense thank you to all the families of all of those who've given the ultimate sacrifice for our country this Memorial Day weekend. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my family's heart. As the son of a veteran, I cannot thank you enough. So thank you for all your sacrifice. Thank you to your families. And thank you for doing what you did to keep us safe. And allow me to sit here and have a conversation over a microphone and exercise my constitutional rights to talk and have freedom of speech and connect with you uninterrupted, unedited, and have a conversation that helps us all move forward. So thank you, and thank you. If you're listening, you want to be part of the community, join us at theprosperitylounge.com. You'll find tools, support, and a space for real questions. If you found value in today's show, share it with a friend, leave a review, and join the conversation online. You can listen to replays for your favorite podcast app and catch behind-the-scenes footage on our YouTube channel. Until next time, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge.
Pull up a chair. The journey's